Hey guys, David J. Kuhn with Qigong Awareness. Thanks for those of you who are able to join me this evening to discuss foreign energies and how it is that we clear these foreign energies out, what they are, where they come from, what it's all about. Those of you who signed up for the webinar most likely saw our introductory commercial, so to speak, a little bit about what is a foreign energy. Everybody feels foreign energies. In fact, there are so many different things that come into your world and come into your reality and come into your awareness that are foreign energies. The list is daunting on the level that it is in this sort of realm in which we live. So what we want to talk about is we want to talk about how it is that we can clear these off, okay? In order to clear them off, in order to have a clearer mind, a clearer space, then we have to recognize and realize what they are, when they're on us, so on and so forth. Again, it's kind of daunting when you realize how many of them there actually are, but at the same time, one by one, we sweep them away. Qigong practice in general is a practice, traditionally it's referred to as the skilled cultivation of universal life force. That's how it's referred to in China, or the skilled cultivation of Qi. But when you get more specific and you look into what it's really about, it's all about clearing foreign energy. It's all about gathering energy into your space, into your being, to become what I refer to as the bigger wave. Your greatest offense when it comes to your life and working and being in the world with other people and so on, your greatest offense, or your greatest, let's say, defense is a good offense, and your greatest offense is to be the bigger wave, to have as much energy as you possibly can have. Those of you who've been students of mine for a while have heard me talk about the difference between the waterfall and the river downstream. The river downstream always has to worry about the waterfall, because the waterfall, so to speak, it's always dropping on its head. So if the waterfall is of a negative nature and there's more energy to it, there's a greater momentum and there's a greater movement of that energy, the energy comes over the top of the waterfall, it falls down, and the river always has to deal with it. If the river is in such a situation where the waterfall that's upstream is a positive energy, well then great, fantastic, we don't have anything to worry about. But when that energy is negative, it comes down on top of your head. Well, in such a situation, wouldn't you rather be the waterfall? You'd rather be the waterfall, right? Because the river can't actually go back upstream and reach you if you're the waterfall. So in general, one way to think about this in general is that first and foremost, your greatest defense is a good offense, as I said, and your greatest offense is have more energy. So when you get, if you're a practitioner, for example, and you go to work and you're working with other clients, whether you're a massage therapist, an acupuncturist, whatever you are, you're a counselor, or you're just working with family members, or you're going to see family members. Thanksgiving's coming up, right? So you're going to see family members. Regardless of what it is that you're doing, once you go there and you get there and you're in that situation and you're in that environment, to some degree, some of what you do next, it's too late. It's not totally too late. There's techniques that you can do, but your greatest effort should be put in before you show up there, before you show up with those clients, before you go on that plane ride, 16-hour plane ride to Taiwan or something. There's so much energy, for example, on a plane of negative energy that you have to go through to get on your plane and fly all the way to Taiwan, which, by the way, I don't think is 16 hours. I think it's like 21. But anyway, that's just an aside. But when you go into the airport, you have to get up early in the morning. You got to go to the taxi cab. You got to do all these different things. Your greatest effort should be put in ahead of time. It should be preventative. Build up your Qi. Build up your energy. Once your energy's down, which most people's energy is down on a regular basis, it's down. And so then they're looking for a technique. They're looking for like a vitamin. They're looking for an herb. It's like, in other words, like a pill or something they can take, like a technique. I could take this one technique with me and do this tapping thing, and then, everything's going to be better. And the technique may help to a certain degree, but you would be much better off being the greater wave, because if you're the lesser wave, just follow me on this just a little bit further. If you're the lesser wave and you are already sort of run down, your energy's already down, and then you get something else on you, right? It's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Now you're trying to get that off, right? But you never really, if you think about this and you're honest and you're one of these people, it's really wise to just be honest with yourself that maybe you're one of those people, if you are, because then you can work with it. Is most of us are in such a place that our energy is so run down that when that straw comes to sort of break the camel's back, so to speak, it's like we work on getting that one off, but we almost just don't even have the energy to do it because we don't have the energy to keep up, and so on and so forth. So anyway, hopefully I drove the point home. We want to have greater, stronger energy on a regular basis. If you're writing things down in a notebook during this webinar, which you don't have to do, but if you want to and you're writing something down, or you're just making note in your mind the kind of things that I'm putting out there to you, that's one of those that you want to write down. Overall, be a bigger wave. Imagine, again, I was throwing one more point on this, one more idea, analogy. Imagine a little, guy who he's 5 foot tall, he's like 100 pounds, and he comes up to Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's going to try and give Arnold Schwarzenegger a hard time. Okay, most likely Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to laugh. Okay, he's going to laugh at it. You know, okay, go do your thing. Why? Because he's the bigger wave, and not just because he's filled up with muscles, because I could pick somebody else that doesn't quite have big muscles and all that. It's about power and being in your power and being the bigger wave, being a being that has more energy. Okay, so that's number one. The next thing is that we can't talk about the subject of foreign energies without addressing this subject of power, which I just started to speak about there. You heard me use the words power. You also heard me talk about a waterfall and how the waterfall doesn't ever have to worry about the river down here. So how do we become the waterfall? How do we become a being that has greater energy? And how do we come up more into our power? We're going to get into that, okay? I'm going to give you some different techniques and so on. First, I want to keep giving you a little bit more background so that you can get your mind around how is it that this actually works? How is it that all of it comes together, the concept behind it and so on, because it is an introduction, and philosophy alone will never be enough to bring you to those places that you dream of, or that you want to come to, that you want to develop in your own being. There's a work involved, there's an action involved, but in order to be smart about the actions that you're taking, you got to have a lay of the land. So I want to give you the lay of the land. Okay, cool. So I want to show you a picture. I'm an artist. You didn't know I'm an artist. I'm a martial artist, but anyway, I'm not an artist drawer here, but this is my little diagram of the chakric ladder. Okay, and this is somebody's body. Okay, and this is the chakric ladder, and down here you have the root chakra, red. You have the navel center, orange. You have the solar plexus, yellow. You have the heart center, green. You have the throat, which is blue. You have like an indigo. I try to do like an indigo here for the third eye. And then you have the crown, which is gold and clear light and some different frequencies and so on and so forth. What's really important to understand when you're working with foreign energies and wanting to clear them off and wanting to have a deeper understanding of this, like I said, this is very much an introductory workshop. I mean, I could literally spend the rest of the year teaching you about foreign energies, but as an introductory workshop, okay, where you're really working, and when we talk about foreign energies and where we're getting stuck with foreign energies and so on and so forth, we're really getting stuck in the root, and the majority is actually in the navel center. And in the navel center, which is the second chakra, and that energy frequency of like a red-orange, foreign energies not only include other people's energies, like the negative energy that you pick up at the airport, it also includes, get this, one of the other negative energies, so to speak, that you pick up from the airport is what? What's it called? When you leave the airport, you go to the airport. Once you think for a second, go to airport. You go in there, first of all, you go through the x-ray machine and stuff. That's a negative energy on the level that it is, and it's also a foreign energy in your body. You also get onto the plane and somebody's coughing, somebody's sneezing. What do? You get a flu, you get a virus, you get a bacteria or a virus. This is also a foreign energy. These foreign energies, the virus, the bacteria, and also other people's energy when it comes to quote unquote negativity, their bad mood, that is associated with the second chakra. So again, if we go back to what I said before about becoming the bigger wave and understanding in a little bit more detail what that actually means, is it means that you personally cannot allow your consciousness, your awareness, to sit in your navel center. Let me explain. This here is your, again, your chakric ladder. But what this also is that each one of these represents a level of awareness, okay? And even though human beings have all these different levels of awareness, different beings, different people live in different chakras. So in other words, one person may primarily live in their power center. Arnold Schwarzenegger would be an example, from my perspective, of somebody who's living in his power center. Okay, a healer like a like a Jesus or somebody. I'm trying to think of somebody now in our realm, but even myself, I spend a lot of time, certain periods more than others certainly, but when we spend more time in the heart center and we're emanating with a little bit of this green. When I'm talking to you and I'm doing a teaching like this, I'm really up here in this blue, okay? And as I get more focused and we really hone in on some of what I'm teaching you, I'll be up here more in my third eye, okay? So when you're down here and you're in that navel center and you're in your second chakra, that's the problem. That's, in short, for tonight's webinar, this is what I'm going to point out to you as one of the biggest problems that you need to deal with. You're not going to be able to be the bigger wave if you're resonating in the second chakra. So here is a chance for you to check in with yourself and be honest with yourself about the answers to some of these questions that I'm going to pose to you, okay? How often do you get sick? How often do you get a cold? How often do you get a flu? How often are you too tired? How often do you feel exhausted and run down? How often do you feel bombarded by other people's energy when you walk away from a certain situation or a certain setting, especially if there's some negativity there, whether it's going to the airport or getting on a bus? How often do you walk away from that experience and feel overwhelmed by that energy? And once you do feel overwhelmed by that energy, if you're somebody who does, how long does it take you to get over it? So like if you went on a plane ride, in 21 hours and you have jet lag and everything, that might obviously take you longer than a bus ride that you had that was only an hour long and so on. But overall, how often do you find yourself saying, wow, this is what's going on, and I had this and I had that, and this person did this with their energy, and I've been really trying to clear it off, or whatever verbiage you use. But when you go spend time with family members, do you walk away and feel guilty? Do you walk away and feel ashamed about a conversation that you just had? Do you worry about what other people think about you? Do you have a hard time standing in your space, whatever that space is? So for example, if you're at a grocery store and somebody just wants to get the bread and you're kind of standing near the bread and they just walk near you, do you like throw yourself out of the way? Do you like jump out of the way and say, excuse me? That's another one. How often do you find yourself saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry? What are some other ones? Moody, your mood's going up and down, challenging menstrual cycles. All of these different things that I just spoke to indicate second chakra consciousness, second level consciousness. Consciousness has fallen from the third eye, let's say, from awareness, from clarity, from the divine, which is here. into this lower level of awareness that revolves around a level of consciousness that is associated with, pay attention, it's a very important part of the webinar, very important part of the teaching, revolves around victim victimizer, victim victimizer, victim victimizer. Not sure, when you're in the second chakra, you're not sure how to not be a victim or be a victimizer. And those are the, when you create relationships in your life, regardless of whether it's a relationship where you go to the bank, you walk in, you've never met the person next to you, and you're meeting them for the first time and you're having an energetic exchange, or it's you're looking to create a new relationship in your life, for example, like a new job, and you're thinking about the new job, or you're thinking about attracting new clients to yourself. If you're a massage therapist, for example, and you're thinking of attracting new clients to yourself, when you're in the second chakra, you cannot imagine a scenario where it is completely win-win. You have these fantasies and these ideas that somebody has to be hurt, somebody has to lose, and of course you may feel very much like that's you. So you may feel like you have something really great to offer, but you know, you're going to get hurt in the process, and you can't ever seem to get out of these cycles. Everything I just described is being the lesser wave. It's not being the greater wave, it's being the lesser wave. And it's all about second chakra consciousness. So we're going to take it up a notch now. We're actually going to take it up a level, which is starting to sound like Emerald there, Emerald Lagasse. We're going to take it up a notch. Anyway, we're going to take it up a level here, which is the third chakra. This is the power center, and it is the color yellow. Yellow is going to be a very important frequency and a very important color for you if you are looking to own your own power, step into your own power, figure out what that is, and come up out of that second chakra and be the bigger wave. Now, before I get into some more details, because we're literally taking on the level of the mind, just in conversation here, we're taking this up a notch because already we are going up to the third chakra, okay? So, but before we jump there, before we jump to the third chakra and what it is, I want to say a little something about why it is that people are so afraid of being in that place of power. We have this idea that power is bad. People have told us that power is bad, power is dangerous. We've heard these different things. In other words, we've heard the bad things that can be done with power. So the majority of the population, in a lot of healers and teachers' opinions, the majority of the population dismisses their own power. They give the power to certain authorities in government or whatever it happens to be. And otherwise, we're living in second chakra consciousness. And second chakra consciousness, if that's what you're in, then you're afraid to step into your power center. You're afraid to step into your power. And one of the biggest fears, the biggest one for tonight that I'm going to share with you that holds you back, is the fear that if I step into my power, if I set boundaries, if I say no when I mean no, and I say yes when I mean yes, people are going to abandon me. People are going to leave me. I'm not going to be able to survive. My family's going to leave me. My boyfriend's going to leave me. My girlfriend, my husband, my mother, my father, my school teachers aren't going to like me. Social consciousness isn't going to like me. They're not going to like me at the church. So on and so on and so on and so on. You're afraid to be different, which means you're afraid to be yourself. Because I'm not talking about the fact that we're all one. I'm talking about in social consciousness, people are afraid to be different. People are afraid to really be different. Because if I'm different, you might not like me. So one of the next pieces that I offer you so that you can step up into the third chakra and be the bigger wave with this game of foreign energy so that you pick up less and so on and so forth, come up into your power is you have to come up into the awareness of the third. And the awareness of the third is willpower. My will, my power, and with my will and with my power, it is none of my business what you think. It's none of my business what you think. You are on the other side of this webinar. It's actually none of my business what you think about me. It's my business what I think about you, because as I give, so shall I receive. As I thinketh, so shall I become. In other words, I'm immediately affected. That, you know, Jesus spoke this, the Buddha spoke this. So my power is in the realization that it's all about what I think about you, not what you think about me. It's about what I think about you. And when I know it's about what I think about you, then I have to be very careful about what I think about you. And I have to be wise about it, and I have to be conscious about it, but also can be daring about it. I'm being daring about it right now by doing the webinar and saying the things that I'm saying, because it's not what social consciousness teaches you. Social consciousness teaches you to be one of the herd, and I'm teaching you to go beyond being one of the herd, which means I've already broken off from the herd. In order to tell you that, I would have to be somebody that broke off from the herd. So I am tempting fate and so on and so forth, because I'm daring to do this, because I may be abandoned, I may be left behind, I may be, you know, whatever. But when you realize that my power is what I think about you, then I start changing my life. And when I realize that it's none of my business what you think, I start changing my life. Okay, some of you now are saying, okay, this is great. I'm glad he's talking about this. This is really cool. But I thought we were going to learn like techniques, how we clear off foreign energy, how do I get this off my body, so on and so on and so forth. I will teach you that. But here's what you also need to know next. What you need to know next is your thoughts are not as private as you think that they are. Okay? Which also means that the guy next to you, his thoughts are not as private as he thinks they are. Which also means your mother's thoughts, who lives across the country, or your father's, or your sister's, or your husband, whatever, who lives across the country or happens to be traveling, or you're at work and you know, they're at home, or you're at home and the people at work, they're at home. Well, those people are communicating with you ongoing, and you're communicating with them ongoing. And the information that you are communicating on the level of the mind, on the level of thought, whether it is subconscious or conscious to you, you're communicating to them, and you're communicating to them energetically. So there is a thought behind your energy. There's always a thought behind your energy. There's always thought behind your energy. So you have to be very careful if you're sitting at home and you're meditating on your fellow coworkers at work. You have to become aware, and you're feeling like you're kind of in a funk and you got some energy going on, and this person is doing something weird to you or whatever, and you can't get them off of your mind. Remember, the first and foremost thing I'm saying to you is, number one, be the greater wave. The second thing is, it's none of your business what they think about you. It's your business what you think about them. And that is not just on the level of form, that's on the level of the mind. So if you have somebody that you come together with and you're in conflict at face to face, or you're in conflict, you know, sitting next to each other on the bus or on the plane, in other words, there's an energy that feels negative to you. Just understand something. You've attracted that entity in your life. You've attracted that experience. Something in your energy field has brought it to you. There is a conversation that's going on the level of the mind between yourself and that entity that you're sitting next to on the plane. If you make the mistake, which many beginning healers, energy workers, psychics, and so on make, in my opinion, because I did, and until I understood it better, because the techniques I'm going to share with you work way better, a million times better than some of these other techniques that I learned earlier on from people who, in my opinion, didn't quite understand it as much. So anyway, you decide for yourself. Here's how I would explain it. If you try and, for example, create a shield around you, which you can do, you know, you can create a shield around you while you're sitting next to that person, and that's most appropriate. But the more that you feel that there is a conflict, the more that you feel that you need to defend yourself, the more that you hold your breath, the more that you resist whatever's coming at you, whether it's in the physical or it's actually coming at you from a distance, regardless of which way it's coming to you, if you on the level of the mind resist it and go, oh man, get that negative energy away from me, or you go, oh God, I gotta get this negative energy off of me. Actually, this works pretty good. That's why I'm going to show you some of these techniques. That actually works because you're doing something physical to actually refocus your mind on yourself. So you may not realize that, but when you start practicing certain things, and we do some Qigong exercises, which I'll show you, when you start doing that, you're coming back into your power because you're focusing on yourself. This is very important in the practice. It's none of your business what other people think about you. It is your business what you think about them. And if you take that teaching and you understand it in the context that we are always having conversation, then you understand that the energetic exchange between us when we come in contact with each other, you can become exponentially more powerful. Imagine Yoda, for example, you know, little Yoda from Star Wars. He's little in terms of size, right? But he is one of the most powerful Jedis in Star Wars, right? Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, most people know who Yoda is. So Yoda uses the mind power, right? Well, here's the thing. People are using mind power to attack you on the level of the mind, and they're sending that with energy. That's how it gets communicated. It gets communicated by energy. So if you feel a big heavy energy on you, you can work with the energy, but also understand it is a thought form that's being sent to you. A thought form. It's not just energy, it's a thought form. Now, here's the thing, go back to the Arnold Schwarzenegger example. If somebody's trying to badmouth Arnold Schwarzenegger, they'd have to be a pretty powerful entity on the level that they would. In the world, Arnold Schwarzenegger would have to agree, yes, you are my authority. He would literally have to bow down and be like, yes, you're my authority. You know, if his great grandmother was still alive and came to him and said, Arnold, you shouldn't be doing that, and she talked to him like she was her authority, and he believed that, he'd go, oh, grandma, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. That's what's happening on the level of the mind. You're allowing other people to be your authority. In order to not let other people be your authority on the level of the mind, you have to know some of the lay of the land of what I just described in terms of what's going on. So that's enough philosophy for now. I know it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot if you really think about it. But let's go back to some of the simplicity, and let's go into some techniques now in terms of how we can change some of this and how we can get it done. So number one, be the bigger wave. This means you have to have some type of energetic practice where you are clearing, cleaning the mind on a daily basis, okay? So these are some of our basic Qigong techniques. I'm going to show you some of them in just a moment. Right after those techniques, we're going to jump into some techniques that have a little extra to them, where you just wanting to get something off, whether you talk to somebody on the telephone, or something's just building up in your body, or you understand philosophically and intellectually all of what I just shared with you, but you feel bombarded still. You totally feel bombarded by the people at the office and so on and so forth. So from this perspective, we want to learn how to clear this off. And what this boils down to for us right now in terms of the Qigong practice is our auric field, what we refer to in Qigong practice as the Wei Qi field. The Wei Qi field is the protective field that protects you and keeps out other people's negative energies, and also keeps out bacteria and viruses, things of this nature. When your Wei Qi field gets weak, a bacteria and virus now has to try and go through your skin. But until then, it's actually got to go through your Wei Qi field. So you can actually be around viruses and bacteria and so on and so forth, which I've demonstrated multiple times throughout the last X number of years. to be in environments where people are sick and not well and still not get sick. I've gotten, you know, bit a couple of times, but overall I've been able to do that. So first and foremost, we're going to build the Wei Qi field, and then we're going to work on some techniques to clear the energy out, and we're going to move on from the philosophy now to some techniques here. Let me just do a time check. That's what I'm leaning forward for. Okay, great. And here's a few techniques for you, okay? Bear with me for a moment. So first is, you have this auric field, right? You have this auric field. First and foremost, we're going to do some of the clearing. Let's get some energy off. So the first thing, you can do this in the shower, by the way, with soap and with water, or just water. We're going to do it on the body here, just like you're washing. But it's kind of vigorous. It's not real, it's not like this. Clean it off. Clean the arm. You're brushing like this. Good. You can also use the back of the hand like this. And then the palm. This side. Here. Good. Now the same way you're doing this, the head, the forehead, the eyes, the forehead and the eyes. Right here, third eye. Rub it and move this energy here. Over your head. Over your head. Rub the third eye. Now pull it off your face. Pull down like this on your face. Pull like this. Pull. Pull. Keep pulling. Pull it off your face. Your ears. Your neck. The back of your head. Brush it. Now take your hands. If you don't feel that, like my hands feel dirty. If your hands don't feel dirty, you may not notice it yet, but I guarantee you've got all this stuff now that you've moved down to your hands. Do you see? We did this. Where's it moving towards? Down to the hands. You're moving it down to the hand, okay? Here, you pull, and it's all in the hands. Clap the hands. Clap the hands. Brush the hands off. Brush them off. Like you got dirt on, because you actually do, okay? Good. Now, the hands are going to go up like this. You're going to do an inhale in a moment when you're ready. This will be an inhale. And you can't see my legs right now, but I'm going to drop down so that I'm kind of like sitting on a horse. And this is going to be, as you get here, this has a little like push at the end. So it's going to go here, and you're going to settle your weight in your hands at the same time. So it's kind of like that, as best I can kind of show you that. It's kind of like this. It has a similar energy to what we do in martial arts, like when we block. But this is coming down with the palms, and it goes a little to the outside and down. It has a little snap to it. And inhale. So at the end, throw it off. It would be like you're throwing a baseball or something, and then you let it go. So it's like that. It has that energy. Come down, pull it down, and then like push it toward the ground or throw it. Imagine you're throwing the energy down. And it doesn't have to be too forceful, okay? It just has, you know, just a little bit of, a little down. Now, take your hands, roll them this way. Inhale. And forward into the field, into your own energy field. The hands are open, and this just goes forward. Inhale. Roll. See, this rolls away. Roll. Come back. Inhale. As the hands come up, they roll so that the palms are starting to rotate and turn, and then away. And again, does not have to be forceful. It can be just like this. I was doing it a little bit karate-like, a little bit, but just like that. Just relax, but inhale. Your inhale's super important. Exhale. Slow through the nose, fill your belly, then come here. Good. Now go ahead and take your hands like this. You're tapping the fingers together. Fingertips like this. Good, just keep tapping. It's a little bit of a workout for some of you maybe not. And it's light, but you're tapping. This is something you can do, you know, if you're sitting at the airport, you're sitting there, you know, waiting for your plane or something, or even on the plane. And of course, somebody might wonder what you're doing, but again, that's social consciousness. It's all a matter of whether you're comfortable in being in your power center or not. Me, I do this on the plane, no problem. It's no problem, I do this on the plane. Person asks me what I'm doing, I'll just say, oh, it relaxes me. I'm just doing a Qigong practice, it relaxes me. But they know something's going on, they can feel it. If you can, keep tapping. If not, you know, just shake it out for a second and then come back to it. Shake it out, come back. Shake it out, come back. All right, good. So regardless of how you want to stand, I'm just going to stand somewhat straight with my knees slightly bent. A lot of you have seen this Qigong pose where you hold your hands out like this. You're creating this like circle right here, okay? One of the things I told you that I would talk to you about in this webinar, and I'm going to talk to you about it now, is I hold this pose and you hold this pose with me. Knees are slightly bent. If you want to, you know, stand in a horse stance for this one, you can, or you can just stand straight. The idea with your arms is you want to let them float up. Don't try and like lift them with stress and lift your shoulders. Try and let them float up and then hold this position. And the idea is you want to create this whirlpool here. The energy's coming up and you're creating this whirlpool. Now let me ask you guys a question. What level of the body is this at, and what level does this correspond with in terms of the chakra ladder? If I brought my hands here, it's the throat, it's the heart, right? And if my hands are a little higher, it's the throat. Either way, this is an upper chakra practice. It helps you to get up out of your navel center, and it literally increases your own vibration and the speed of your own energy. In this way and in this regard, foreign energies fall off of you. They fall off of you if they came from the computer. They fall off of you if they came from the airport. They fall off of you eventually, depending on how badly you have gotten yourself into a viral situation, a virus, okay, or a bacteria. You can work your way out of a cold and out of a flu and out of those foreign invaders by uplifting your own energy. Where are my hands, guys? My hands are up here, heart and throat level, okay? And if you get tired doing that, no problem. Just shake it out, and then bring your hands back again, okay? It's not just hard to do because your arms can't do it and your arms are tired. It's hard to do because the energy of the second chakra is heavy and it creates pain in your body. And so when you're practicing the Qigong and you're practicing to bring greater light and uplift this into your heart center, you're going to feel the data. You're going to feel the foreign energy as stiffness in your body. Whoa, what did he just say? Ding, ding, ding. Make note of that in your own mind. You don't have to write it down right now, but make note of it. Those places you feel in your body where you feel that tension, that is an area where there is a foreign energy. A lot of times we feel foreign energy as well in the brain itself. We feel, foggy in our brain and so on. Foreign energies are in the different tissues, and that's where they're holding on to us. So we have to create greater frequencies of energy to begin to change that dynamic so that we can go back out into the world and back out into the game of all of that and what all of that looks like. Go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths, 2, 3 deep breaths. And shake that out, okay? Just shake it out. All right, so slightly more dramatic, for lack of better words. With this next exercise, it's going to combine the one that we did earlier. It's going to be to develop the Wei Qi field. We're going to put a couple of things together. So here we go. So the first one you're going to do is where we scoop and we settle. This is like you're putting it into the earth. And again, this doesn't have to be forceful, right? So it's just like, okay? And just whatever for you, a little bit of snap right there at the end is, then just do that. And as you do it, your exhale should be out right there. So it's inhale. You're exhaling, you're exhaling, you're exhaling, out. That final out. I like to think of this and feel this as if I'm sweeping it, you see? So it's not so much that I'm just straight down. You can do it this way, but it has a little bit more of a sweeping feeling to it. Sweep. So I'm going to do it from here so you can see. Now just imagine that was a martial arts technique, which on some level it could be. Think about what it's doing. Imagine somebody coming at me and they're throwing punches or something. Where am I putting the energy? This is what's most important for you to understand. Where am I putting the energy? Into the ground and also a little bit off to the sides. That's where the energy goes. But primarily, I want to point out to the earth. To the earth. To the earth. Then, with this one now, you're going to go the opposite way. You want to make your auric field with your mind big. So this isn't down, inhale. Reach your mind. See a golden arc of light all around your body being. You encircle it down at your feet as you exhale. You come right back up through the middle in some form or capacity with your arms coming up through the center. You inhale. Here, you exhale. It's all in your mind. So if somebody tells you, oh, Qigong's all in your mind, you're absolutely right, it is. And the more that you give rise to that energy, the more you give rise to this auric field, the more that you start to create it. Now, as you go up, I want you to, I'm going to have you add another piece. How you do this is going to be up to you. So let's do it this way. I'll show you this way. First, we're going to acknowledge above us, the space above us by breathing into it. And literally in your own mind, acknowledge the space above you. So say I acknowledge the space above me, the infinite space above me. And now as you come down, you exhale and you go toward the ground. I acknowledge the infinite space below me, okay? Inhale. Exhale. So above me, below me. Now, with some type of gesture in your body, okay? So I'll just give you this one. Inhale. And take a step. I acknowledge the infinite space in front of me. Now turn behind you. I acknowledge the infinite space that is behind you, behind me. I acknowledge the infinite space that is to the left of me. I acknowledge the infinite space that is to the right of me. I acknowledge the infinite space that is all around me. And I acknowledge the infinite space that is inside of me. And as you do this, that could have all been done on the level of the mind, or you could gesture the different directions, but you want to hit every direction. Above you, below you, before you, behind you, to the left of you, to the right of you, inside you, outside of you. What order you do it in, that's your business, but hit all of those directions and then bring that into your practice, where you start visualizing the auric field going in all those different directions. You can also practice in such a way where you also change. So you practice a couple of times this way, then you practice a couple of times this way, and in this way, you're creating that bubble around yourself, and you are becoming the bigger wave. You're becoming the greater auric field, okay? So when we talk about this, running out of time, time goes so quick. So when we practice these things and we work on being conscious, the more that we understand what's going on and have a lay of the land, that's called greater awareness. That's why the name of our company is Qigong Awareness, because awareness is hugely important, and awareness of what's going on energetically is hugely important. So be the bigger wave, learn to be the bigger wave, and also understand and acknowledge and recognize and realize if you are living in your second chakra, and that is one of your primary places in which you live, and you see clients who live in that place, like maybe you live in it somewhat, and maybe you see clients, for example, who live in it even more. Or family members who live in it even more. They're always talking about how, so-and-so victimized them, and they got this problem, and they have that problem, and they have the other problem, and then they have that problem, and notice it keeps going on and on. It's a lot of problems. And so the thing is, that person's in their second chakra. If you're in your first chakra, you don't have a lot of time to talk about your problems, because you're literally so in your problems, you're just trying to survive. You're like living on the street. You don't even have anybody to talk to. But if you're living in your second chakra, like most people are, then you're talking about your problems, you're talking about your fears, and you're meditating on being a victim and victimizer mentality. You come from dysfunctional families and so on. Don't feel bad, I did too. But you're coming from that type of environment. And then when you go out into the world, you're thinking, even if you're not realizing you're thinking it can't be any different than this. I have to have other relationships that are dysfunctional because that's the only thing that I know. You got to catch on to that's what's going on. When you start to come into the third power center and you come to the realization, it's my business what I think about me. This is what I mean to my students when I say mind your own business or mind your business. This is what I mean by it. Mind your business. Your business is what you think about other people. Your business is also what you think about yourself. And if you think poorly about yourself, you're in the second chakra. And what you'll find is that you don't just think poorly about yourself, you also think poorly about other people. So in one moment, you feel poorly about yourself, and in another moment you feel poorly about other people. And at some point you have to realize, if you want to transcend that, okay, and get out of that game of muck and mire, that game of foreign energy exchange between lovers and partners and dysfunctional family members and people on the plane who represent your dysfunctional family members who you still haven't healed your relationships with. If you're journeying any of that, the shame, the guilt, the blame, the victimization, the feeling too sensitive, too bombarded, one of the pieces about too sensitive, it's not the only piece, okay? But one of the pieces about being too sensitive is also not understanding, how can I be mindful, considerate, peaceful, loving, or what the Buddhists talk about as ahimsa, harmlessness to myself, harmlessness to other people. How can I do that without being, listen, too nice? How many of you who are listening to the webinar tonight, just doing a time check, because I get cut off I get cut off by my own webinar system when it comes 8 o'clock tonight. So for those of you who watch this recorded later, you don't have to worry about that. But those of us who are watching it live, I'm going to get disconnected in about 6 minutes. Anyway, so I want to wrap up with you. So when you are in your power center and you're coming from that place, you're in that power of yellow that says, I'm a victim to no one. I'm here taking up my own space. From the place of your power center, you don't have to take on other people's stuff. From the place of your heart center, which takes time to get to this place, okay? It takes time. You got to build up your energy. You got to practice. You got to increase your energy, and you simultaneously have to increase your awareness. And then you have to take your energy and your awareness into your life and live it and have these experiences that then become knowledge to you. Not intellectual knowledge, but knowledge that you now embody, okay? Then you really understand it. That's when it really works for you. So between now and then, what you want to do is, in any way, shape, or form that you understand how to, you want to get your energy, like the downloadable videos that we have and stuff. You want to practice those 20-minute practices, those 60-minute practices, and get your energy up and get yourself out of that second chakra. Because if you stay in the second chakra, you're going to have so many foreign energies all the time, you're not going to have enough time to clear it. You're going to be too much in that state, and in that state, many of those of you who find yourselves being very sensitive, as I was when I was growing up, you also may find yourself being too nice. Too nice is actually a cover-up for being a victim. There's an element of being a victim. If you're being too nice, then that's like the woman that says, oh, go ahead, you can kiss me. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. You understand? Then it ends up being something called date rape or something, and that's too nice. It's like, no, I don't want to kiss you, or no, you can't get in my car, or no, that's not your $5, it's mine, or no, that's not your purse, it's mine, or no, I'm not going to sit here on the same bus with you. I'd rather stand in the back. You know, you're putting off a negative vibe right now. Sometimes you might need to do that. When you get higher up in your energy system and you have practice of what it takes to be in your heart center and be in presence, you can sit with the most negative people and literally presence them and change their energy. And not only do you not get bit by their yucky energy, you actually presence them and you get to see the light in that person. But in order to do that, you cannot even just be in your third chakra, which is that yellow level. You actually have to go into the level of green. You actually have to go into the awareness of heart-centered consciousness, which is why I leave you, if I can, with one more practice. Anytime you're trying to heal the energy between yourself and another family member, a negative phone call, or a person at your workplace, okay, who also represents, by the way, your dysfunctional family members who you haven't healed your relationships with yet. That's the only reason you're with that person in that workplace. That takes some time to understand. but that's the long and short of it. Light a candle. Light a candle and practice some Qigong, practice some meditation, and instead of fending that person off, ask that love, that light, that compassion, that peace, that joy, that happiness come to that person. And if you really want to see a change in your workplace, if you really want to see a change in your home or in your relationship with your mother or whoever it is, light a candle for them, practice Qigong for them. 21 days. For 3 weeks, watch what happens to your relationship. That is you stepping out of the consciousness of the second chakra, going into the third chakra, which says, I have some power and I have some say here. I don't have to be too nice. And I'm going to mind my own business. And I'm going to start to gain greater control over my own thoughts and my own thinking process. And it's a level above that that says, I'm going to love you. I'm actually going to share love with you. Even if you're a bum and a vagrant and you have yucky energy, and even when you're judging me, that takes a lot of practice, but that's how it's done. I thank you so much for joining me, those of you who joined me tonight live, and those of you who will watch this later. Thank you so much for joining me and being willing to participate in this type of practice. The planet really needs it. And for every one of us that does it, I just think the world is a better place. So I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm David J. Kuhn with Qigong Awareness. And thanks again. You all have a great evening or day or morning, whatever it happens to be when you watch this video later. Thank you so much.